What's up, everybody? It's your favorite unwanted gifts favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Hasbro's Triggerhappy. There's a story to this. The long story short is Robert D gave it to me. The long story itself, you have to go back and watch my Marvel Legends Invisible Woman review, and you can hear the whole story there. Anyway, I have him. I'm going to review him. Let's get started. Accessory-wise, he comes with two and a possible, like a bad hand of spades. These guns here, they're both single cast. A decent amount of sculpted detail, honestly. What's up, Smee? My dog just came in. Lay down, buddy. That's his tail. This dude's got a tail, like, sit down. Look, he wants to... What's up, buddy? Camera shy. It's all good. Sorry. We gotta just account for the unexpected here, Skullface reviews. So, yeah, hollow as my mother's soul on the outer bits. They can be held in his hand, as we saw. They can plug into gun mode. I mean, into jet mode, as we will see, and then they can snap together. And when they snap together, you can use his possible accessory, which is a headmaster. Some pretty decent paint on the face. We have some red, and then the eyes are painted yellow, and it's actually done surprisingly well. It transforms by just flipping the legs down, and then you get the hips on a single hinge and the knees on a single hinge, and the arms are on ball pegs, actually, but you can't get anything out of the ball peg except for the swivel, and then the head is on a ball peg. No paint whatsoever on the face of the headmaster, which I think is a bummer. And it's chewed up sculpt-wise from probably be going in and out of that cavity on the chest. But it has two ports on the feet to correspond to two pegs in the gun. Why aren't we focusing? It's been a reoccurring issue recently. Not sure what's going on. And we'll just peg him in. And then he can... And that still ain't right. Let's see. What's the matter here? There it is. It's not a great fit, but he's in there. And this is pretty dumb, but it's something that they like to do. So if you think this is cool, the good news is it relatively works. So there you go. Let's talk about the figure. So because the headmaster head is on a ball peg, you do get a little bit of up and down out of the headmaster, which is nice. It's a nice touch. And then you can get the swivel as well. So all that works pretty well. Detailings wise on the chest, you have silver and gold paint, as well as the Tampo Decepticon symbol. Then you have this different color, purplish, bluish color on the cockpit, which does open, but doesn't reveal any headmaster stats. And because it's on the translucent plastic, it affects the match, so the paints don't quite match. So that's a bummer. But not the biggest deal in the world. At least the purple is painted on there, you know. Waist swivel, you know, not ideal placement for it, but it's there. I hate when they put the cut right above, like, the bottom part of the crotch. You know, I prefer when this whole piece swivels, but whatever. And then you have the arms, which are on hinges here, that come out to just a peg. I think this head... Like, so I think this head has to be facing backwards to go in. At least for mine, it has to be facing backwards to get a good fit, so that it doesn't want to pop out. However, if it's in backwards, it has a harder time going in than when it's forward. So not the best fit and finish there, as my buddy T2RX6 would say. So you get the hinge here that gets the arms up to there and down, and then the swivel. So while not maybe the most sophisticated, it is still fairly well executed. Then you have this gold paint that's up here, pretty sloppy towards the bottom, like where the gold meets this non-painted piece. So that's a bummer, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And then you get a bicep swivel. These wings hinge out. The problem is that you can't take these guns off, which I think is a huge oversight, but you could flip them down and have gun hand mode, but I don't think that that's very cool, and neither should you, in my humble opinion. But you have to have these wings kind of to the back in order to get this hunk of junk out of the way, or at least room for it, so that sucks. But that's just a design issue. I just think that's poor design, in my opinion. Bicep swivel. single hinged elbow that gets you past a little bit past 90 degrees, which is nice. And then the hinge, wrist in and out, no wrist swivel, and that's to fold the hand up, you know, our favorite transformation. And of course, forearms are all hollow, biceps are hollow. We can just talk about the hollowness now. The thighs are hollow, the back of the legs are hollow. That's just kind of how they do business these days and with Transformers. All right, so the articulation is the same for the other side, including the obnoxious forearm gun thing. So that just kind of sucks across the board in that regard. I mean, some of the articulation still works, just the way that they went about design-wise is just not my favorite. T-jointed ball joints for hips, that gets you the full Van Damme and the full Monty, so no issues there. Thigh swivel, that's fine. Knees are on a single hinge, but get you the full range, so let's give them a round of applause for that. For the bottom legs, we do have a little bit of paint. We got this silver stripe here. We have the blue accents on the fins, which look good, and then the gold down at the bottom. All that stuff looks good. And then the back of the figure cleans up okay, with the exception of the wings and those guns. I think that's where this thing kind of falls apart, and I think it would have been an easy fix to just get them off as the accessories instead of using the headmaster fitting into the gun thing. You just use these as the guns, as the accessories, and have them plug into this piece here. Easy fix. They didn't do it. I'm not sure why. Maybe just to stay consistent with the gimmick. Either way, let's move on. Transformation will get the headmaster out. We'll tuck the hands in. I gotta be honest, I did this a couple days ago and I haven't messed with it since. So forgive me for any stumbling. It's just a matter of finding the right pegs and ports and such. Hands flip in, guns flip down. These wings flip up. You can use this here as an indicator because this has to go into the other piece, right? Yes, so the wings flip up, they're ready to go. Same for the other side. Then pull them away from the chest. Oops, falling apart there. Come on. There. Pull them away. Just bring out that armature, which allows you to flip this whole piece back. You can take that out of the way. And then spin the whole chest around, which is pretty cool. And then this piece, this part of the canopy does not open. Plug that in, that'll lock that in place. Now these, so this back of the foot fits in. I didn't go over ankle articulation, you just get a tilt, no rocker, so that sucks. That goes in and then this goes down. Once again, the back piece of the heel spur goes in and then the foot goes down. And then you can use your pegs and ports as an indicator for how to get it to work. So it's these two and those two. And then use your waist swivel. I'm getting all sorts of text messages. And then flip this up and over into the back, and that pegs into these two tabs there. And then these come down, and this tabs into this side piece here. Now let's see if we have an easier time with this one. There you go. And then this tabs in to there, and you're done. And I gotta say, that's a pretty cool transformation for a $15 toy. I dig that an awful lot. I kind of dig the ship as well. I think it looks cool. You can, of course, take your other two accessories. You can split them apart. I don't see necessarily a way to plug this in one piece underneath or anything. So, I don't know. But you can separate these and then plug them in underneath the wings. So at least there is a place for them. And then it even has a little landing gear to flip down. And I didn't see any side landing gear, but let's see how it... But yeah, it still sits relatively flush. And then, of course, you can open this up and take your target master and sit him in. And then close that up. Size comparison wise, about the same as Tiger Tracks. So, fair enough. Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with this. I think that this works fairly well in jet mode. I think there's some interesting stuff here, not some typical transformation sort of fixes and tricks and tips that they usually use. Everything feels fairly unique experience-wise to this piece. I don't know if this is repainted in anything else. I don't really stay in the loop of Hasbro's main line, but I think that this jet mode, for what it is fairly efficient. I think it's solid. For this is solid, the jet mode, for 15 bucks. Or maybe I should stop saying 15 bucks. They might be like 17 or 20 bucks now for all I know. The prices do keep going up and up and up. But be that as it may, in the teenage price range, so to speak, it's still pretty good. There's a size comparison with kind of an old school deluxe and a Legends class figure. And if you wanted to have gun hands, that's what it looks like. So there's that. Final thoughts wise, I think he's a pretty decent toy. There's a couple of problems that are always going to be problems with the Hasbro line, which are the hollowness. I'm tired of it. I really think they need to rethink their way of doing business in that regard. Lack of articulation. We should have got ankle rockers, and lack of paint, which is just, you know, it's just par for the course, unfortunately. But I have to say, this has more paint than I would have necessarily expected. So I'll give him a little bit of credit in that department. The only problem that this guy really faces specifically in and of himself are the arms. I just think that they're poorly thought out. I think that it would have been a smarter idea to just have the weapons form onto the hands rather than having that flip up thing, which kind of just gets in the way not only of your options but of the articulation as well as other things. One of those other things being just how he presents himself. But that's not to say there aren't impressive things about this figure. There are. There's a fair amount of paint for what I've come to expect from Hasbro. The transformation is a lot of fun. It's interesting. It keeps your attention. It's not overly simplistic and it's not complicated, but it's just kind of enough to enjoy. So I think it's okay. You know, it doesn't really bother me. Just playing the odds, you know, I thought that reviewing this figure and staying objective and not just getting upset and wanting to like throw it through the roof because I just get upset with this particular line, I thought that was going to be my biggest challenge, but actually, it wasn't. My biggest challenge is where am I going to put this guy in my collection, because I always keep gifts that people send me, but luckily I did find a place to keep him. And here we go. Put him right there. Yeah. Right there on the front porch. Perfect placement. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, that's why Hasbro makes Transformers. They're not for kids to play with, so you can put them on your front porch and they scare away evil spirits like a scarecrow. Just kidding. Just kidding. Don't get yourself all sorts of triggered. But honestly, I think this is a pretty cool figure. I have to admit, most people have told me, you know, the deluxes are where the charm is in the Titans Returns line, and I've only looked at a few Titans Returns figures. I looked at Steeljaw, right? Didn't I? Or did I not? Did I only look at Rewind? I can't remember. Rewind, I definitely looked at. Astro Train, Brainstorm, and this guy. And Brainstorm and this guy are definitely the best two that I've looked at from the ones that I've looked at. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty decent figure. It's especially pretty decent for what I've come to expect from the company. I do recommend it if you collect this sort of thing. And I also have to applaud Hasbro for doing, and this, you know, I give Hasbro a hard time around here, but I have to applaud them for doing these obscure characters. Like this Titans Return, like the last couple waves of these Titan Returns figures, we've seen some really, really obscure, you know, Japanese characters and fourth season of G1 characters sort of come out of the woodworks. And I think that's a bit of a gamble for them. I think it's a tad bit risky, and I think they did a good job, at least in terms of, you know, creating enough toys where collectors of this line can pretty much flesh out their entire, you know, roster of characters. So that's cool of them. I'm not sure I would have necessarily expected that 3 years ago. That being said, it's not for me. Still a decent looking toy. Still performs fairly well, and the transformation is maybe one of my favorite Hasbro transformations ever, at least of the ones that I've messed with, which admittedly haven't been much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.